Anyone else have that phase in life where you delve into hidden messages or deeper superstitious meanings behind certain media or product? You know, things like Pokemon being short for pocket demon as opposed to its actual meaning pocket monster, or Beyonce songs having hidden messages in them when reversed, or how Hello Kitty is bad because it's quote-unquote demonic. It seems like there's a common trend of people finding sweet and innocent things, especially related to children, as creepy, you know, things like Furby, kids shows and movies. I even remember that $1 store mirror that had a creepy woman inside. Hold on, I need to go and find it.
A mother bought her toddler this princess wand at the dollar store behind me. Imagine her surprise when the curious little girl peeled back the foil to find this image of a girl herself inside.
Yeah, I remember it was super terrifying when I first saw it. Absolutely terrible. Anyways, Hello Kitty is what I want to talk about today, because growing up in a Hispanic household, during one of our yearly winter trips to Mexico, this is where I first heard my cousins talk about this. They told me to stay away from Hello Kitty, otherwise some entity would stalk me for the rest of my life. Kinda like a similar fate to what saying Bloody Mary 3 times in the bathroom would summon Mary. I was like, whatever. I remember leaving that conversation slightly entertained, while also brushing it off as some random creepypasta they had found. But turns out they had been warned by adults around them, and even some of their friends, about it. Once again, I brushed it off as all of them reading too many Facebook stories or creepypastas. As I grew up, I had forgotten about it until I was talking to one of my friends about things our parents never let us have growing up, just to find out that her mom had raised them to believe the same thing, to avoid Hello Kitty because it was bad, to blacklist it along with other toys and media. That made me question, is this a Hispanic thing that I never knew about? Is this like our niche belief? So I ventured to ask some of my other friends, and to my surprise, same deal. I realized it was a Hispanic thing. So like, why? To start, to be completely honest, the truth is, all of this is a hoax. So what is the story? As the internet said, there were parents that were desperately looking for a cure, some solution, to save their child suffering from mouth cancer. The parents made a pact with the devil that if the child was cured, they would create a character in the devil's honor that would be adored worldwide. So like, why did Hispanics blindly trust this story? According to Snopes.com, the rumor gained its start from a 2008 email rendered in Spanish, which asserted that the frantic parents of the 12-year-old girl stricken with cancer of the mouth made a pact with the devil to bring to worldwide fame a character alluring to children in exchange for their daughter's return to health. The fatuous account asserts Kitty is a Chinese word meaning demon, thus Hello Kitty means hello demon. That is, those who fall for the character's charm are welcoming the devil and all its minions into their hearts. First of all, people have yet to find a word kitty in Chinese that means demon, so the whole kitty translation can be completely scratched off. There's also a belief that Hello Kitty's lack of mouth was a reference to the child having mouth cancer, but Sanrio's website states that their approach to this was to help the audience make their own interpretation of the character. Kazuhide Yoneyama said in 1999, without the mouth, it is easier for the person looking at Hello Kitty to project their feelings onto the character. The person can be happy or sad together with Hello Kitty. There's all this evidence to prove Hello Kitty is essentially innocent, so why did it keep its stigma in the Latino community? Well, this comes from personal experience, but growing up in the culture, it's kind of easy to see that stories and information is spread by word of mouth. And not only that, but it's often blindly trusted. Tall tales, stories, urban legends are more likely than not blindly trusted. And to be fair, every culture has their own stories and urban legends that they too may not be true, but they're passed down generation after generation. For example, in Mexican culture, we have La Chupacabra, we have La Llorona, we have La Pascualita, which I'll talk about later, and of course, this newer story about Hello Kitty. Also, please don't call me a no sabo kid. I was born in the US. I already have identity issues. Anyways, La Pascualita, also called the most beautiful bride of Chihuahua, is a tragic story of a bride dying from a spider bite before her wedding. In March of 1930, her mother, Pascuala Esparza, first displayed a mysterious mannequin in the front window of her bridal shop. That's when customers and passersby started to notice her hyper-realistic hands, the detailed wrinkles, the veins, as well as the uncanny resemblance to the owner's daughters had locals believing that the grieving mother had mummified her daughter just to display her in an air-conditioned display. So we actually went to see her a few years ago. We happened to be in the area, and I mean, it was pretty cool. She was in a beautiful dress. She had her story displayed on the right, and there was a good amount of people there to also take pictures. People often say if you film her, you could see her blinking, you could see her twitching and all that. You can see here I zoomed into her face. I gotta admit, it was kind of creepy, but none of that happened. But it was pretty cool to see. Anyways, first of all, considering it's been decades she's been displayed and there's no decomposition, clearly means this isn't real. One of my favorite YouTubers, Ask a Mortician, goes more into detail about that. By the way, I love you. I hope you see this. But anyways, this story, along with other urban legends, goes to show that by word of mouth, stories are spread and believed despite the mannequin being very obviously not a real person, because you know, science and decomposition and all that fun stuff. So similar to this story is also the belief that Hello Kitty secretly holds some sort of superstition. I also want to talk about another case that could possibly contribute to that Hello Kitty stigma. It's a pretty well-known case within the true crime community. In early 1997 in China, Fan Man Yi and Man Lok had met in a nightclub and became acquainted. Fan had known Man had carried money and drugs on him, and as articles say, she decided to steal around 4K, I believe, Yuan. She soon discovered that this was the last person she'd want to steal from. Upon discovering that Fan had stolen money from him, Man decided to kidnap Fan with the help of 2 other men. He had decided to have her pay back through, but soon the situation had gotten worse. The men weren't satisfied with this payment, so they had began torturing her, taking out their anger. They tormented her, and you could look up the details of this torture. I can't exactly explain it because of YouTube censorship. Frankly, I don't really want to describe it. Anyways, as it turns out, 14-year-old Ah Fong was Man's girlfriend. She would often stop by the apartment and even be coerced to inflict torture on Fong. Ah Fong had stopped one day to the apartment and had found Fong dead. The group had been taking drugs, which eventually led them to go further than they usually did, killing her. So the group had decided to take her apart, cook her to prevent decomposition, and stuffed her head in a Hello Kitty doll. Later, out of pure guilt, 14-year-old Ah Fong, Man's girlfriend, had come forward to the police to confess, where then the officers found the gruesome crime scene. So this was a horrible situation, and it's often deemed as the worst murder in China. It's also interesting to learn that Man had kept a bunch of Hello Kitty memorabilia like silverware, towels, curtains, and of course the Hello Kitty plush that he used. You know, whether or not this had contributed to the Hello Kitty urban legend, it is beyond me, but I wouldn't be surprised if it did. I would assume people would believe that Man was drawn to do this because he was influenced by Hello Kitty's superstitious thing. Personally, I doubt it, but people will believe what they want. I think despite growing up with this mindset of Hello Kitty being bad and being told by parents that it's bad, those kids have come to realize that it is a hoax, that it is fakes. And funny enough, I have friends that started buying a bunch of Hello Kitty stuff because it's great. Hello Kitty is fantastic. But as new generations emerge, it feels like there's new stories and urban legends coming out, and it's almost like history is repeating itself. There's that story of 2 girls attempting murder on one of their friends because they believed Slender Man was real and they believed that creepypasta. So at the end of the day, there's no stopping urban legends and stories being spread, but of course it reaches a point where it goes too far. You know, I mentioned earlier those Beyonce songs that are reversed, and I was really into hidden messages in Beatles songs. And in fact, I want to make a video on that later on. Me and my friend were obsessed with that in elementary school. So this was kind of a quicker video I wanted to make. A lot of my video ideas are based on things I grew up with, internet related things, literally whatever pops to mind. My next video idea, as I mentioned, hidden messages, specifically Beatles songs, which was more popular back in the day, back when I was in elementary school. And I mean, me and my friend were obsessed with it, so there's a lot I gotta say about that. You hear that? Sound of my coffee. Anyways, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.